Hello, it's me, Jennifer Stenhouse from Little Mobile Foxes, and we're going to be doing our Tool Talk Tuesday. And I believe Julia's going to be joining me here. And there she is. Let me see if I can get her on here. There we go. Fun stuff to talk about. Here she comes. All right, come on, Julia. There you are. Hi. Hello, my friend. How are you today?
I keep wanting to try to use the headphones, and then I forget that they don't work with Instagram.
Oh, I'm sorry.
At least yours do, but I don't.
Mine
somehow
do.
mine don't.
Hi, Jill. Hello there. How are you?
Kenzie.
Oh, Kenzie. Hey, so yeah, let's talk about corks. What do you think?
Well,
I just
you
took
probably
off
know
one
way
and
more. You probably have way
another.
more going on with corks than I do because you proposed this idea. I
did.
really only have two things that I was like, wait, do I even use corks in the studio? I was like, do I have any?
Oh my gosh, I don't, seriously, it is, I think I've always had them because I always like recycling them, first of all.
Right.
Yeah. And
This is the main use I have for corks.
right. And I think most jewelers would agree that that is a great use for corks, is your engraving tools, because
You're stabby, tiny, super sharp, super delicate little, like wants to frickin' chip and break little.
And it's a great way just to keep them sharp and safe and keep them from rusting and all that good stuff too. But
I have a whole,
did you know?
I have a whole can of them. Oh my God.
Little heart.
Oh, of course.
So this is my drawer of corks, and
Course,
not all of them.
drawer of corks.
Some of these were donated, so these are not. It's not all me, I swear. But a lot of the
Even if it were,
or the prosecco. I do love a good prosecco. Anyway, I like the prosecco ones because they are they're a mushroom shape, and so for things like handles on my files, my tiny needle files.
Oh,
I really kind of like the little champagne or prosecco corks.
Nice.
So what I like to do is, so this one's got a little bit of a handle on it, is take my drill and I usually will only do this for like the smaller ones, right? And like for my 4-inch and 6-inch files.
The escapement files, the little teeny files.
But, I mean, it's the right shape and the right size and it's comfortable.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Because yes, the escapement files are so small. Like the tang on an escapement file is really only like about 1 inch long.
Yeah,
maybe 1.5 inches.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
So,
and that's pinchy, not a lot of grabbing space. Yes.
And so
you're so smart.
This I like, and especially if for people, I have a couple of friends that have some bad arthritis, and the small handles for the little escapement files are too small for them to really be able to get a grip on. But this way it just fits just exactly in my hand right. So this is my handle for my tiny files. But
I love it.
Did you know, Julia, that there's more than one kind of cork? Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a natural product. The real McCoy will be, some is softer and some is more dense. And then, of course, there are also what are called synthetic corks, which are really just, compressed and chipped plastic.
Like that?
Like that.
Right. But
which for our purposes work fine.
Well, one of the things that happened is cork was getting increasingly rare because they skin the bark off the trees and drill holes into it to extract the basically what the corks are. But what they started doing was using recycled film, so celluloid, and they were making celluloid corks that are these crazy little corks. And then there's the plastic cork. It's just a regular old plastic cork. And then there's the one you were talking about that's like the composite that looks like cork.
This is actually cork, but it's been chipped. It's like the outside parts of, when they made the corks from a whole sheet of cork. and
Yeah,
then they took the remainder and chipped it up, and they made the,
right.
yeah. Which,
Yeah, so that's like
yay. I mean, I love that I can
composite cork.
recycle cork. I
Yeah.
can take the corks to my local um, Puget Consumer Co-op, the PCC, and they'll recycle them. And there are
Right.
a lot of places will recycle cork, so that's nice.
But you can always recycle them in your own studio, which is awesome too.
Even better.
Aside from making like little hot pads, because they're so great for being heat resistant, so you can make like a little space to, like a trivet for hot things out of all your corks.
Yep.
But I really like the plastic ones a lot because they're a little rubbery and durable, and I really like that about them. And like you said, for stuff like your engraving tools, they're fantastic. But yeah, so for like needles and things like that,
They both
awesome.
have, because I did the same thing you did. I was like, I'm going to do the same thing.
I always have one on my X-Acto knife, always. And
I have a lid for my X-Acto knife, which I have managed to not lose.
I can't, the only way that I can figure to not lose them is to do like the cap that you get for like the eye pen, the eye pencil that has like a rubber band attached.
A little lanyard.
And then you've got like a lanyard on the cap, which doesn't work for me. But I have found this is the same cork that's been on this thing for 20 years. So it's just been, that's the cork that's been on this X-Acto knife that long. And I love it.
And if you cut one side of it flat, then it won't roll when you set it down.
Exactly right. The other thing that I love, and this is fun, and especially if you're doing like etching and stuff like that, this is a great trick. To put a little cup hook.
Oh, and then you can float stuff. Yeah.
So for pickle,
have to be pretty
etching,
small.
And this is really great. I usually do it this direction, because if you do it this way, it's going to make it a little too, it wants to float a little low. So, oh yeah, the cork on it. Oh my gosh, the same cork, Kenzie. That's really funny. But this way, this is great for ultrasounds. So or ultrasonics. So if you have like an ultrasonic cleaner, and it's you don't want your stuff to sit on the bottom of an ultrasonic cleaner, because then it's like on the bottom and it scratches your stuff up. So you want to float things in there where they're not like rattling around or hitting the bottom.
And so the corks are like protecting things from it's like bumper cars.
Yeah, right. So you can put a whole bunch of stuff in the ultrasonic and let it vibrate around and rattle stuff out and clean it, but it won't hit the bottom, and it allows it to just sort of yeah. Then you can take it out and you're good.
That's pretty usual.
But this is also great, for So a little hook, little brass hook on a plastic cork works great in most of the jewelry chemicals that we use. So because it's not affected by stuff like that. So anyway, yay. So
I love that Kenzie has an heirloom cork. Has the cork from her dad's X-Acto knife. It's an heirloom cork.
It's an heirloom cork. I love that. It's vintage.
It's
a vintage cork.
Because she has
wine.
And she has inherited it from an ancestor. Therefore, it is an heirloom because it has been inherited.
You're correct. Yes. So yeah, but I really like having these around the studio. The other thing that I have found that I use them for is some of the like the pads for my holding devices. I have several of them around here, but for my my tool holding device that's wood and it sits on the counter and it's just a little like rocky and bumpy, I'll cut these in half and like screw them onto the bottom of things so they have feet that are kind of soft, and so they have like little padded feet. But I'll make those out of the corks, and gosh, I can just build a fort out of corks.
A cork fort.
And I'm
not a blanket fort, but a cork fort.
Sometimes I like the plastic ones. Sometimes I like but sometimes I don't need a cork this big, and I want a cork, it's this big. So I have a whole drawer.
You need to drink lots of wine so you have lots of different options. I know. I love that you have a drawer full of corks.
I know, right? I mean, seriously, you never know. Yeah, you just never know when you're going to need a cork. But yeah, I think that for you can make little stamps out of them and all kinds of stuff. They have all kinds of craft potential, of course. But just having them, of cork. But that's the main thing, I think. And I find even for just for like resting my wrist on stuff if I need to sort of get up off of something. The cork sometimes is a good place to sort of just, yeah, like rest your wrist on because they're a little bit softer, kind of like like the wrist guards for the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
sitting there and working a long time, but if you've got like a cork, you can kind of put it under your wrist and support your wrist while you're working. And it's a little bit softer than just working against a harder counter.
Yeah, the edge of the table or something.
I love corks. I just think that's hilarious. This is how bored I was one day when I was organizing the studio. And, but you never know when you're going to need a
heart
of corks. So,
heart of corks.
But you can usually pick up, like I said, this is not all me. I don't drink a lot of wine, but a lot of times you can pick them up just, here and there, and friends have them, and it's like, oh, what are you doing with those corks? And they're like, I don't know. I just, gonna put them back in a bottle someplace. And it's like, are you though? Are you gonna use them? Because I'll use them. I mean, that's how I usually end up getting them. So, but they're all good. They all do different stuff. They're all great for whatever. So some of them I keep the little thing on so I can hang them. But I know it's a weird thing that I just sort of was like, this is my tooltip because I use them for so much stuff. Right?
I love the idea of floating stuff in the ultrasonic with them. That's brilliant. And if it was small enough, you could definitely float it in your etchant bath,
Absolutely, yeah. So you're doing a bunch of stuff like that. But for stuff like chain, you can always, it will. The hook will get eaten away. But you could always use a plastic hook. You can get other styles of hooks.
Or dip it in that tool dip or something,
Right. Or the tool dip would be one way to do it. Just dip the whole thing in, tool dip, and then it's sealed completely. So that would work. But you can also get like little plastic hooks that are, are powder coated or whatever. But and those would be great for the pickle as well. So when you're trying to sort of set something in the pickle, but you don't want to lose small parts on the bottom, or you've got a bunch of small parts, you can put them on a hook and sort of suspend them in the pickle rather than,
you have to make sure, if you're going to do that, you have to make sure that the hook is something that is not going to cause you problems in the pickle.
Right.
So if it's a brass hook, you're golden, right? Yeah. But if it's steel, like if it's chrome-plated steel or something, if it's plated, you're going to be set.
Oh, yeah. So if you want a pickle plate, something, get a steel
everything
hook.
On the hook. Sorry. If you want a pickle plate, everything that's hanging from the hook, just put in the steel hook and then it'll be good.
Right. But, for chain and stuff like that, you can even use like 2 hooks and suspend a chain, and that way your chain won't get tangled on the bottom of your ultrasonic or your, so if you're using
the ultrasonics for cleaning a lot, whereas I don't. So would that work as a pin finisher, or would that just be a not giant mess?
Not really, because it would. With mine, it's not big enough for it to move, and so no. But if I'm doing something like multiple parts, I will put them on something like a zip tie or just a copper piece of wire. So
in the pin finisher.
On them. In the pin finisher, yeah. Mm-hmm. To keep small parts together while they're in there, because
I would do that in the tumbler. I would thread things on.
And the tumbler, and the tumbler. So zip ties and things like that work really well. And if you're having a hard time finding that, sure, you use a plastic cork, run a zip tie through it, and then throw it in your pin finisher or your pickle or whatever. So zip ties and corks, people. That's what you're missing in your studio.
When I was in the Peace Corps, it was dental floss. We use dental floss for everything.
Yeah. Kyle, hello. Yes, we're talking about loving some corks. But these are fantastic for, if you need something to kind of lift it up, to separate it, to move it around. And a lot of people use these like as display assistants. So they've got, if they're shooting photographs and things, they can like pin stuff into it and stand it up and, use it for stuff like that. So,
sure, because you can pin through a piece of paper into the cork and then you don't see the cork, you just see the shaped paper.
Exactly right.
Good idea.
yeah, there's just, yeah, a million reasons to have these in the studio. But yeah, just sharp things alone is a great idea. I had a gal that in Savannah that had it was in a 3D class, and I know you've heard this story before, I think, but
Maybe.
this is one of my safety horror stories. But she had an X-Acto knife, and she didn't want to just drop it into her book bag. And so instead, she was afraid, instead of like properly taking the thing out, turning it over at least, since she lost her cap, or taking it out and taping it up, and she didn't want to waste a new blade. So a lot of people will turn it upside down like that, and it's still a little sharp, but at least it's not, jabby. But she didn't do that. She just left it in there, blade out, and then put it so she wouldn't lose it and like cut herself. She put it into the pin holder that was on the outside of her backpack tote, and picked her bag up and walked to her car. By the time she got to the car, she thought she'd stepped in a puddle, on the way, because Savannah's, always wet. But she looked down and realized her shoe was full of blood, because she had slit her leg from her ankle, like straight up the side, with the X-Acto knife.
Oh, when she picked up the bag.
When she picked up the bag, she didn't even realize she'd done it. It just scraped her straight up the leg.
Oh my God!
And right all the way up. And she had to have like 70 stitches in her leg.
Oh my God!
Was, like, all the way up. Yeah. So
Corks, people. Corks.
Yeah.
Not
Corks.
stitches. Corks, people.
Would have solved that whole problem.
Oh my God. You
Yes,
have the worst horror stories from your students.
Oh,
were your students in Savannah just like particularly, accident prone? Or you just had a lot of students, and so then,
A lot of students, but I mean, when you have a lot of students that are right out of high school, that are
bless their hearts.
Kyle, you know what I'm talking about here.
Bless their hearts.
And they're not paying attention,
so well.
or they're just, and at that point they're immortal. They don't think that it's
until they're bleeding out because they need 70 stitches.
Yeah. So it just laid her right open. She didn't even realize it was that sharp, because they're like scalpels, So technically, oh yes, yeah. Kyle confirms. High school students are not living in the present moment generally. They're living like outside their body someplace, and it's just so the minute they hit like their freshmen in college, it's interesting, because I found that when they come out of high school and graduate, they're like ready to take on the world, and they know everything because they've graduated from high school. And then they start college and they realize they don't know anybody, they don't know where they are, they're completely lost, and they do what I refer to as the llama, the first day of the first class in college, which I can't tell you how many students I had in the first day, the first class of a college, semester, and they're like, whoa, so they would, yes, they'd sit there, give me that look, and just like in wonder and terrified, and especially at an art college where they've come from high schools where they separate themselves as artists by what they wear, and they get to an art college and then they're all wearing the same thing and have to figure out how to self-identify all over again, because suddenly everybody looks like them and they've conformed to that. And so it's like, I'm not conforming. I can't conform because everybody looks the same, and so it's like cool for a minute, and then you realize it's like, who am I? But anyway, so they're going through that. And meanwhile, there's like X-Acto knives floating through the world trying to figure out how to get to them. So anyway, I just lost my cork. But
it's a time for new cork. You have a drawer full of them. You can select
time for new cork. Yep. There we go. New cork. But there are, all kinds of things you can do if you're working on something like, instead of like trying to set a stone, you bend the back on your earring, you can use a cork, put the post into the cork, like drill a little hole. And that way, if you're trying to finish polished sand, you've got, a nice soft surface that you can work on, and you're not going to bend your post on your earrings. So
Right.
I like that. So if
Old
I've got like a
school
little stone set,
thermoplastic, basically. It's
yeah.
what we had
So
to use before we had thermoplastic.
yeah, before thermoplastic. And this is so much easier. You don't have to heat it up. It's not going to make a mess, but it's reusable. So yeah. So for post and keeping them from getting bent, this is fantastic. And you know, if you're shipping stuff and you've got a lot of posts that you're like, you know, or earrings and small parts,
Hmm.
you can always pin stuff into it and you're good to go. I mean, it's just basically a small cork board. So if you've got lots of
Right.
little like
Yeah, so it
posts and
protects things in
things,
transit. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely,
That's a good
absolutely.
idea.
So it's great for that too. Um, but yeah, I've just found that you know, oh look, it even straightened it out. There we go. The bent one that I had on there. So yeah, so if you've got like little, you know, things that you need to ship or even display, you know, this is, like I said, a great display thing. It's great for photography because, like you said, you can put a piece of like white paper around it and pin through the paper,
Hmm.
right?
And
And
then
you've got your
and you
little,
don't,
yeah.
right.
So you
And
have your
then
white
they're
on there.
floating, magically floating.
They're
Yeah,
magically floating on a white surface. Just put a piece of white
exactly.
paper, or you know, yeah, friendly plastic your cork and yeah, make it white. There you go, or paint it, whatever. But yeah, so pinning things into it, protecting yourself from sharp objects, floating your stuff in an ultrasound or liquids, helping to organize small parts and chain. This can be fantastic. So yeah, tool handles, all
Yes.
that stuff. Yeah,
Think
definitely
packing
has such
aid
a
for
space.
shipping,
Packing
you know,
aid for shipping. Yeah,
like for the
absolutely.
to protect the post, or if you
Cut them
don't want people
down,
to
use them
fly,
for feet on
use them
blocks
for
of
feet.
stuff. Yep. Yeah. Your cutting board missing a foot. Put on
All you
corks.
need is cork.
All I
Well,
need
like
is
I
cork.
said, that's the only things I use for corks for are for sharp things, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I have if I I mean, I know you can use cork to absorb vibration and
Yeah.
whatnot, but then I have like rubber pads and stuff like
Yeah.
that for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're great for stuff like that. And especially if you're, you know, using um, you know, for separating parts and things, even if you're cutting them in half and wanting to put like rings, stand rings in them and make ring displays, there's just, you know, especially, you know, if you're a wine drinker, hold on to these for sure. You know, if you're, you know, your folks are like, you know, it's tea time, you know, save those corks, right? There you go. So, yeah, corks. I love my corks. So, anyway, yeah, there you go. So, Julia, we have some new classes coming up too, and you just loaded a whole bunch
I
on.
did well. I did just add a couple because I was like, oh, I want to add a couple for July, which is a hot minute from now. So, what did I add? I'm using my phone and on my iPad's in the other room because I was like,
Oh,
shoot, it's tooltip time. I need to get my butt into the studio. And then, of course, I didn't bring all my
let's
stuff.
see. Yeah.
I did just put Sparks on the calendar, which
Oh,
comes on the
awesome.
calendar for like mid-July, I think.
Right.
And then I have another round of Studio Sparks, which we're going to start in. And this one, I changed it up a little bit. So previously, Studio Sparks check-ins were meeting on Sunday morning because
Right.
the weekend, right? But I decided I would change it up and see if maybe a different time of the week would work better for people. So I set it for Thursday evening from 5
Oh,
to
that'll
7.
be good. That'll be good.
Right. So I thought that might work better for some people and free up the weekends.
Yeah.
Everything else about the class is basically the same. We will do it for 4 weeks. You'll get a spark every weekday morning, and then just on the weekday mornings, and then you'll kind of have a weekend as the breaks. And then we'll do our check-ins on Thursdays. So I think I set it so that the Sparks will start on the day that the first check-in is, which is kind of the welcome check-in to show you everybody how to use Padlet, because we use Padlet to share our explorations as we go along, which is so fun. Yay, thank you. Shout out to AJ Power for showing us Padlet. That is such a cool program.
Absolutely.
Padlet.com, people. It's awesome.
And we're going to try and get him back on the schedule for fall.
We want to get AJ back on the schedule. He's been teaching the drawing for jewelers class, and we need more of that. So yeah, so it's another set of 4 weeks of Sparks. The idea being, it's just, you get this thing in the morning and it's like a studio prompt. So the idea
Right.
is that it helps you kind of it's like a warm up, right? Just kind of gets the creative juices flowing and, gets you to turn on your torch or pull out your saw or something. And it doesn't have to be any particular thing. And I strongly encourage people to not try to make a thing from it, to just kind of experiment and play. That we've had some really fun things that have grown out of the experimentation. Actually some really, really interesting and really emotionally kind of vibrant pieces have grown out of some experimentation. I just really love getting to see that happen. That's a big part of what is just super fun for me about the park. And
really
I go along and do them too, as much as I can.
Yeah, it's really good as a like studio practice. I mean, it's really great because
get you in your studio every morning.
Get you in there,
get in here and get some stuff done.
Right. And it's good because it does give you those prompts that just sort of like give you a kick to get you going. And so for exercises for people who are trying to, tone up on their metalworking skills, it's great because it's like go in and do a thing. And it's like a simple thing. And,
well, they tend to be a little open-ended, so they're open to some interpretation, which is great. And I also love to see what students make. I mean, I had one, for example, I think this was one of yours. Actually, it's been really fun to get you to help me make the sparks, because then they're sparks that I don't have a preconceived notion about how I would do it, because it's something that came out of your head. But one of yours was, I think, make a ring with 3 wires, or use 3 wires to make a ring. And the results were different. The results were really cool. They were really different, how different people approach
one thing. Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the things I love about those open-ended kind of prompts or assignments, that, seeing how people interpret that idea, because everybody's coming to that with their own baggage and knowledge and connections and then
the
once
richness
they do
of their
that,
own life.
And then once they do that, you'll see that in the same way too.
Right.
And so it gives you.
I never thought of it like that. We get a lot of that in Sparks. It's like, I never thought of it like that. Like one of my sparklers, I call them my sparklers, who's also a friend. She did the 3-wire ring. Like I did I made 3 bands, 3 wires that were soldered together, and then I made a band out of it.
Right.
And what she did was she took these 3 big loops of wire and made this thing that kind of bent open. And she was talking about how it for her, that she loves hiking and camping, and so it was about the topo lines on a topo map. So she wanted it to have kind of that, or almost like the ripples in a pool spreading out. From the top, it kind of looked like concentric rings, and then from the side, it sort of, each loop was a big oval that kind of bent like this and made the ring. If you join the Sparks, I will show you a picture of Susanna's ring. It was very cool. But I had never thought of that,
because once you see somebody else's idea of the same thing and you're looking at those things objectively, suddenly your mind's like, oh gosh, that's 10 ways of doing this that never even occurred to me. And so down the road, when you're trying to solve problems, suddenly you're like, oh yeah, there's that thing, that was out there. Yeah. Well, some of the other classes coming up is we've got wax carving starting.
Yes. You people who want to set stones, you should take that class with Jennifer, because she will help you make a setting that you can just cast, and then you just drop your stone into it and set it.
There's 1,012 ways to set stones in wax. It is so broad. People sort of get stuck in the fabricating out a sheet and wire for stones. And the beauty of working in wax is that you can sculpt things. Suddenly, the sky's the limit, and you don't have the limitations of sheet and wire. You can model and shape and form, and you can set a twinkling diamond in the eye of a tiger, or a little diamond in the puckered butt of a unicorn. Just like
or you can have all kinds of tentacles coming across your stone.
You could have tentacles, you could have flowers, it's just, and you can have, a standard beautiful stone setting with, that's been shaped, for an unusual shaped stone.
Right.
And even if that's like, you want to do something that's like a signature stone setting that nobody else is doing, you can mold it and cast it. So you've suddenly got,
You don't have to do it every time.
yeah,
Again,
yeah.
you
And so
can
suddenly
make
you've
your
got
basic design, cast it in metal, and then have a mold made from that cast, and then you
right.
have, then it's
Right.
proprietary, it's a signature piece, and you
Well,
can.
and not just that, but you've got, yeah, Kyle. Exactly. So, but you've got, something that is a component that you can use in other pieces, which is really
Right.
nice. So we're going to talk about solving all kinds of problems using stones and wax together. I've got cuttlefish and gravity casting.
Right, that's a multi-week class, right? The wax setting for stone, wax carving for stone.
July. It's July.
So
And,
that means you have plenty of time to practice.
And had I thought earlier, it's like, July. Let's sit up in a 90-degree studio this weekend and wax carve. So I'm going to get a little air conditioner unit for my studio because it was 94 degrees in here yesterday.
Yeah,
So,
all you people out there in Instagram land, it was 93, 94 degrees in Seattle. My husband was on a call with somebody who was in California, and she was like, oh, it's 99 here today. And he's like, yeah, it's 93. And she was like, what?
yeah.
It's like no one
expects the Pacific Northwest. But here's the thing. Most people that say that, they're like, oh, you guys are such wimps. It's like only 25% of residential homes in the Northwest have an air conditioner. So most places do not have air conditioning units because up until very recently we didn't need them. So anyway, but yeah, I'm going to get a little. So
pity us when it gets hot because we suffer.
It's just, seriously, it was 94 in this room.
Well, I know your studio gets particularly hot because you're on the second floor.
And there's no insulation. Yeah, there's no insulation.
And so it's just like a tin can baking in the sun.
It is. Well, and people are like, oh, surely it has some insulation. I'm like, no, it
has no insulation.
That's the actual roof. So it used to be a paint warehouse, and it's like barn siding, and my room is kind of insulated, but usually not. It gets real cold in the winter and real hot in the summer. But anyway, we've got gravity and cuttlefish bone casting coming up. And
what are you doing besides? Wait. Besides cuttlefish bone, what are you going to talk about in gravity casting?
Right. There are a lot of other materials that we can use for gravity casting in the studio. Cuttlefish bone is just one. And I'll be talking about other materials that you can use instead of cuttlefish. I particularly love cuttlefish because I like the texture, but I don't use it for everything because sometimes I want a smoother surface, or I want to be able to repeat something or to alter something. And materials like charcoal or plaster and things like that can actually give you different results and can be repeatable and changeable and things like that. So we're going to talk about all kinds of gravity cast solutions along with.
And you've tried them all, right? Over time. So you have the ones you like, and then you probably have some info on the ones you are not a fan of.
Some people, here's the thing. Some people really, truly love sand casting. And it is their jam. They can do it, and it looks, that's what works for them. I don't really prefer. Hi, Edie. Hello, down in Texas. Speaking of heat, the thing about sand for me is I don't like the surface it gives. I can't get a good. I can get it registered, but the registration isn't clean enough for me, and I can get better registration and stuff out of cuttlefish, but that's because I have more practice with it. And so there are lots and lots of options. And I know some people are sensitive to cuttlefish and shellfish and want to work with something else.
If you're allergic to shellfish, you're going to have to choose a different casting mechanism than cuttlefish.
So there's tufa, there's sand, there's, anything that's heat resistant basically will work for gravity casting. But the cool thing is that it's one of the best things to know how to do. So you can recycle your metal when you have scrap and you need a piece of sheet or wire like in
like now. Yes.
Yeah. So it's a really great way to do that. And being able to do like a seamless piece of wire rather than using a 2-part mold works great when you're doing gravity casting because there are all kinds of ways to do that. So yeah, that's going to be on 7/16. So 2 weeks gravity casting and cuttlefish bone casting. So that's coming up. Do hang in for that because I do show you like how to make ingots and all kinds of stuff along with different things. And
you people out there, you will learn so much from her because she can't help it. She's just this font of information and wisdom, and it just like flies out of her, no matter what she's doing.
Right.
It's true.
It's like a magical unicorn.
She's like a magical unicorn of information. It just flies out of her. Yeah.
So what we're going to add coming up later this fall too is doing stone settings using gravity casting. So doing things like cuttlefish bone, and so doing some stone settings that are unique using that material. So thank you, Evie. Also too, you're going to be doing kombu on the 23rd.
Yes. Oh, Robin says, I got some tufa, but still haven't figured out how to use it. Not a lot of tutorials out there as far as I've been able to find. Are you going to cover tufa in your gravity casting? All right, Robin.
I am, Robin. Yeah, I am.
Sign up now before the spaces are all gone.
Yeah, and I do like tufa. Tufa is I've got some in the drawer. Tufa is a really cool material to work with, and it has some ancient history behind it. So yes, tufa. Tufa. Oh gosh, all kinds of like limestone, soapstones, and things like that sometimes can be used. So, but tufa's traditionally sort of a
because it's so easy to carve. Is that right?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And it's not too terribly expensive, and yeah, it's easy to find usually through a couple of different resources. So yeah, it's and you can use it over and over and over again.
She says she's signed up already. All right.
Yeah.
Go.
Oh, good. Okay. Yeah, but it doesn't like degrade when you use it like some of the other organic materials will.
Can you use fire brick in place of tufa, or does that not really work? You can. Oh, that's
There's
pretty
all
cool.
kinds of stuff. There's all
See, this is the thing, right? Like, anyway, people take the class because she will demystify the gravity casting world for
gravity casting, yeah. Get a bowl, fill it with metal, heat it up with something hot, pour it into a hole. Gravity casting. No, there's all kinds of subtleties. It just works.
There's
really,
a little
really well.
more to it than that. She's making it sound a little bit. Anyway,
so we've got kombu. You're going to be adding gold.
Yes, that class went really well. I think it was like January. It was earlier this year.
It's been a while.
And I was like, that'd be a pretty good one to do in July because it should probably be hot, and then I'll be leaning over the hot pad, the hot.
It's like me with the wax. Like, you know what? I'm going to get an air conditioner.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, kombu. Yeah, that was maybe that was not the world's best choice.
I know.
It's not that
really fine, delicate wax in the middle of July.
It was like when we put poor Jan with the enamels class in August, and she was like, "No, I'm not ever doing that again." Right with the heat of the enameling kiln. She was such a trooper. We need to get her signed up for some more stuff.
But just so you guys know too, we've got fidget rings and we've got adding gold bezels coming up, but there's a whole bunch of stuff. We've got like 25 classes that are going to be
a whole bunch of classes
that are amazing. Got Leslie Perino is going to be doing a really cool enameling class. Leslie is
I know that one looks awesome. She uses like these embossing folders.
Yeah.
I didn't even know these things existed, and then I saw the pictures of her work, and I'm just like, that is so cool.
Leslie Perino is an amazing jewelry artist, and I have known her for 30 years maybe. So I've known Leslie for a very long time. She was one of the first people I met at the SNAG conferences way back in the day. And she was looking for a grad school, and she ended up coming down to Savannah, and she was our first graduate student at Savannah College of Art and Design. And
I didn't realize she was your first.
Yeah,
wow.
She was.
No wonder she holds such a special place in your heart.
She does.
She's an awesome artist. Her work is amazing.
Awesome. She's just and you've met her. You met her in Chicago. She's in Evanston and teaches at the Art Center there. Has had stuff show all over the country. She's very talented and teaches a lot, and her specialty is this really brilliant enameling. So look up Leslie Perino's work if you want to see that. But she's going to be on the schedule shortly.
Perrino.
Right.
Leslie Lie.
Perino, yes.
Rrino.
So she is just amazing. And we've got AJ Power we're going to add for the drawing for jewelers. We've got Chris Anderson's. Chris Anderson's going to be taking some classes, and Michelle Lier is going to be doing some more filigree. So we've got a whole bunch of great stuff coming up this fall. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and a lot of new classes. Julie just did the cut card setting this last weekend, and I just shared an image because one of the students shared a picture, and it's awesome.
Cool.
So
so cool. I can't wait to see it.
Because her piece that she finishes in the stories, and it looks amazing.
Yay!
So check it out, and so you can see what the students are producing there. Also, I'm going to do a 2-prong setting coming up this fall based on the cut card setting that Julia did.
Yeah. We talked about that a little bit, and I was like, I'm just going to show you how to do 4 prongs.
Right.
And then Jennifer, because the 2 prongs is a little trickier because you have to have an under bezel, and Jennifer tried all the possible ways to do that and knows which ones work and which ones don't.
Yeah, because I'm one of those people that's like, well, what about this? Well, what about that? What about this? What if we did
what
like
this?
Could you use a so-and-so? It's like,
right. Nope. Tried that. Nope. And then yes.
The way that I'll show you to do it is the shortcut.
It's the shortcut. It's the shortcut. People are going to be like, is there a way? No. This is the shortcut.
This is the shortcut. But the cool thing is that you can do some unusual shaped stones with it. I've got examples of round and rectangle stones, of course, but you can do ovals and
pairs and other things.
Yeah, as long as it's pair would be. I guess you could set a pair in it as long as it's symmetrical, because you only have 2 prongs. As long as the stone's symmetrical, you could use 2 prongs for it. So even I think we had somebody in your cut card class that was wanting to do a 5-prong.
She had a 5 hexagonal stone. Yeah.
So that would be a little tricky because it has an odd number.
It has a flat side and a point. Yeah.
But it is symmetrical, so it might work. Yeah. So, but yeah, there are
all about the bearing bezel underneath, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
People, you got to learn about the bearing bezel, because the 2 prongs, that's actually the easy part. It's the part underneath that holds it, that the prongs push it down onto. That's where Jennifer is going to demystify and shortcut your way to.
But it looks great, and this kind of setting is used a lot in the industry for things like bridal sets, where you've got like this diamond sitting in between these 2 little prongs, and it's got diamonds going all the way around its girdle, and you're like, how did they do that? Because it looks like a disco ball. I'm not going to show you the disco ball, but I am going to show you how you can actually make those things, and how you can design it into the ring piece itself, and so on. So that'll be on the schedule for fall as well. But
and then the other one that I put on, I think the other one I put on for late July was the band and fidget rings. Is that right?
Yes, you've got July 31st fidget and band rings. So like doing spinners and things that go around, and stacking rings on a spinning thing, and all kinds of fidget
rings. So we're going to make simple rings. So if you are a rank beginner and you've never made a ring before, this is a great class for you, because we're going to basically make some stack rings, some band rings, and then we'll put them together and turn them in. If you want to, we will turn some into a spinner ring. So it's kind of a smorgasbord of ring-a-palooza class.
Ring-a-palooza.
Yeah.
Well, and it's great for people that are learning how to solder, and learning how to form, and learning how to size, and things like that. We've also got a forming series we're kind of cooking up.
Yes, we've been talking about that. I have this chime ball thing that I've been working on. I know Helen and Jennifer have been very patient, because I keep doing it, and then they don't work. Because you have to but you have to do them and figure out what isn't working, right? And it's like, this part's too it's like that's part of preparing a class for you guys, is figuring out what doesn't work to try to save you the time to do that yourself, the wasted material and the time. So I
Yeah.
don't mind doing those explorations, but school just ended, so I have a little bit more time, so I want to finish
Great.
that up. Plus, I just bought new sexy tools. So I just bought a disc cutter and a new set of dapping punches
New forming
because,
block.
I had to
Well,
have them to finish my
yeah.
charcoal class.
Yeah. And coming up this week on Thursday, for those of you that are in the Seattle area, Seattle, Tacoma kind of area, north across the islands, wherever you are, if you're in the Seattle area and driving distance, Thursday evening at 7, the Seattle Metals Guild is having our general meeting, and Andy Cooperman is going to be speaking and talking about his work. He's receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Metals Guild. It's free, so if you want to come and have some snacks and network and say hi, please do, because Julie and I are both going to be there. Andy Cooperman's going to be there. Dana and Sarah is going to be there introducing him. We've got our established artist, grant recipient, Karen Lavas, has a video, the presentation that she's got. But also everybody's going to bring like 3 pieces or so of their work, because we haven't seen each other in a couple of years, and everybody's been in their hidey holes working on stuff. And so it's an opportunity to sort of network, say hi, see what people are working on. And if you're not a member of the Seattle Metals Guild, you can check it out online. And it's perfectly okay if you're not a member to come. So
Yeah, you can
it's
still
just
come to the meeting and come meet us. We're fun. We're fun people.
absolutely.
We're fun.
Yeah,
Go to the Seattle
is.
Middle School website and it'll give you the address. We won't bother with the address here because we have people on here that are not
it's a
in
little
Seattle.
it's a party crowd. So
Oh,
we're
are
a
you
lot
going
of
to
fun.
bring your chandelier earrings, your new amazing earrings that you've been
Uh-huh.
making? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes,
Jennifer's
I am.
totally gone down that rabbit hole.
I did, and I am bringing a few of those. Andy's going to have some of his pieces there that you can see and talk to him about as well.
Oh, that'll be cool.
But there'll be a whole
Fondle
table
them.
for metals, metal skilled people, and if you want to come and show off some of your stuff too, please do. And just stuff that you've been working on and you want feedback on or to talk about, and to see everybody else's stuff. And it's just to break the ice and conversation starters and get to know each other. So so please come if you're in town. Kyle, if you're still out there, please come. I'd love to see you guys. I believe Kinsey and Alex are going to be there. So Kyle, if you're around.
Carpool with them.
Yeah, carpool with them. But yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And like I said, it's the first time we've had everybody get together in a couple of years, over 2.5 years. So it'll be really nice to see everybody in person. And but anyway, yeah, it's in Ballard at the Sunset Hill Community Club. So please do come if you're around. So anyway, yeah, and I think that's it. We've got more classes that we're going to add. And as always, do please take the studio safety and chemicals class. The slideshow and lecture that Julia did is online and available. It's only $10. It's on sale. We marked it way down. So, and when you sign up for it, there is no limitation on how long you can watch it for. It's always going to be there for your reference. And we, want you to be able to work safely in your studios, your schools, or workshops, wherever you are. And it's just a way to make sure that you guys are best informed and have good information about how to stay safe and work, and can be able to continue working in your studio for a long time. So that is always up and available. So please check it out. You can, watch it anytime. You don't have to worry about a schedule on that. And we really want to encourage everybody to take that, whether you're taking our classes or somebody else's, locally or beyond, online, whatever. It's just a really good reference for everybody. So, yeah.
Indeed.
Anything else? Yeah,
I don't think
anything else, Julia?
Julie says we were talking over each other, and it was kind of hard to hear with us. We get excited, and then we start talking over each other. I know, I'm bad. It's me. I interrupt her. And I apologize, people.
She gets real excited.
I get excited. Just always want to put my 2 cents in.
Absolutely. Yes. So I hope you guys will join us for that. Please, feel free to come in and say hi and ask questions. And, if you want to talk to me and Julia about Little Metal Foxes stuff, great. If you want to talk about Metals Guild stuff at the on Thursday evening, come out and say hi. Get some snacks. meet some folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, Mickey Lippy will be there, and Andy Cooperman and Dana Casera and you and I and all the other really cool people.
All the cool kids are going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, even if you're nerds like us, you can still come. Working in your studio, don't know anybody. This is your chance. Come out and say hi. We're friendly.
We are.
Yeah. So yeah, please do come. Okay, so yes, check out the classes coming up. Take the safety class and
Come to the guild meeting
and get some
Corks.
corks. Yeah,
You can Corks.
All right, and as always, check out all. If you missed one of our tooltips, they're all here and they're all on our YouTube channel, Little Metal Foxes YouTube channel, plus a bunch of other bonus content that's free. So you can always watch all of our tooltips there. We've got over, I think, 70 now.
A lot.
70 tooltips on there.
So many.
And not just with us, but with other people as well. So, yeah. Interviews and all kinds of good things. So, there you go.
Much good stuff.
So much good stuff. Okay. All right. I always enjoy talking to you and sharing ideas.
Likewise. But we're friends and business partners.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got, we do have a new administrative assistant that has joined us.
I know.
Little Foxes. And hopefully we can have her join us for one of our Tool Talks coming up and talk about her life and what she's doing in Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires. It'll be a little late for her because she's 4 hours behind us. So it would be 10 o'clock her time to do a tooltip at 6. But we'll talk to her and see if she's up for that to meet you guys. She's lovely. Anita in Buenos Aires is going to be, already is working to help, streamline things behind the scenes. So we're super excited about her and her kitty Tito. If you want to see a picture of Anita and pictures of Anita and Tito, just go to the website, littlemetalfoxes.com, and go to the About Us page. And Anita's on there as part of the staff. And then Tito's on there as part of the support staff, because all of our pets are support staff.
And our new support staff member, Miri, as well.
Yes, that's right. We have an intern as an agent of chaos. Sorry, I'm talking over you again. Miri, Helen's new kitten, is our intern and agent of chaos. And there's a charming picture of her there on the website as well.
Right. Right. So yeah, check all that out and more. And as always, if you have any questions, email us at info@littlemetalfoxes and say hi. And if you've got tool tips that you'd like us to do, put it in the direct message. And we're always looking
give us ideas. Jennifer doesn't ever seem to run out of ideas, but that she would be happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about too.
Things like corks. Floating along in your bubblers and keeping things safe. All right. Okay, everybody, have a great evening. It's great to see you, Julia. And we'll see you soon in some of our classes. All right?
All right.
All right. Bye, everybody. Good night.